Minoxidil is a hair growth product that was discovered by one doctor attempting to treat his patient's hypertension. In 1971, a dermatologist noticed that his patient began experiencing better hair growth after her cardiologists introduced minoxidil as a last-ditch effort to lower her blood pressure. It wasn't until the 80s, however, that it was licensed for use as a hair growth product. Since then, pharmaceutical companies have taken minoxidil's hair restoration benefits and applied them to creams and liquids. Unlike a lot of meds, we can buy them over the counter, which means we don't need to run to a doctor for a prescription. However, as different brands have seized on the opportunity to use minoxidil as a hair loss treatment, you might be left wondering which one is better to use. The two brands you can choose between are Kirkland and Rogaine. Both contain the same hair growth byproducts, so there is no clinical difference regarding efficacy. However, there are differences in the underlying ingredients and price, which may influence your decision if you purchase one. Minoxidil's original aim was to widen small arteries, which would then reduce blood pressure by ensuring the heart didn't have narrow blood vessels to push against. At the same time, it appears to widen the hair follicles. This comes with the following effects. If hair follicles have shrunk, they grow larger. Blood flow to the hair follicles increases. It increases the rate at which hair follicles move between growth phases, encouraging hair to grow faster. Each follicle's growth phase also lasts longer, making them more efficient. Scientists aren't sure how minoxidil achieves all of this. However, to avoid the systemic side effects that come with taking the drug orally, they form topical solutions. As such, the product only focuses on your hair's follicles rather than dilating blood vessels everywhere. Minoxidil is only appropriate for hereditary hair loss. If you suffer from a condition such as psoriasis or alopecia areata, you should ask a medical professional for advice before applying it to your scalp. Doing so is necessary, as the solution's ingredients may interact with other drugs you're taking. To understand how minoxidil treats hereditary, male pattern hair loss, it's necessary to understand the biology behind this condition. First of all, it's a genetic condition. It doesn't just affect men, and the factor that appears to increase hair loss is the body's production of a particular type of testosterone. In those who suffer from male pattern baldness, their body is more likely to respond to the testosterone that converts into dihydrotestosterone, aka DHT. DHT is a stronger form of testosterone, and it has more specific functions than the original hormone. DHT encourages our bodies to focus on growing hair on our chins, chests, underarms, and backs. For DHT to achieve this, it needs a certain number of receptors in those areas. For reasons that are mainly unknown to medicine, those who have male pattern baldness have more of those receptors. Again, we're unsure why, but when DHT attaches itself to the hair follicles on your head, it makes them smaller. The side effects of this include: your hair follicles spend more time in the telogen stage of growth, which is where the follicle remains dormant. They also spend less time in the catagen growth phase, which is where they renew themselves. Similarly, they spend less time in the anagen growth phase, which is the point where hair grows. So how does minoxidil benefit those with male pattern baldness? As we've already mentioned, it allows your hair follicles to move through the growth phases in a similar way to those who don't have male pattern baldness. The main difference is that those who use minoxidil appear to spend less time in the telogen growth phase. As a result, their hair follicles are more active, so hair grows thicker and longer. There are plenty of studies to back up the idea that minoxidil encourages hair growth. Now let's take a look at the two big minoxidil brands, Kirkland and Rogaine. Which one is best? Both Kirkland and Rogaine Minoxidil contain the same key ingredient with the same dose, minoxidil 5%. Therefore, there is no clinical difference in their efficacy. We chose to go with minoxidil 5% because studies have shown that it is far superior to 2%. Kirkland is the more cost-friendly option. The differences between the two lie in the other ingredients. If you're trying to choose between the two, knowing more about them and how they could affect you may help you decide which one to buy. First, Kirkland Minoxidil contains propylene glycol. As a substance that's used in antifreeze, it causes panic amongst those who like to take a risk-averse approach to treating hair loss. It's also used in thousands of other cosmetic products and medications for one simple reason. It speeds up how quickly your body absorbs medications. However, it's also worth noting that Kirkland's solution contains isobutane. Isobutane is a form of propane, which makes it highly flammable. Yet, isobutane is used routinely by cosmetic companies producing hair care products. Rogaine Minoxidil also contains propylene glycol. At the same time, it includes stearyl alcohol and SD alcohol. A study that highlighted the presence of propylene glycol for faster medication absorption suggests that other forms of ethanol have the same effect. As such, we could assume that Rogaine works its way into the scalp faster, encouraging your hair follicles to widen, exit the telogen and enter the anagen phase of growth quicker. Unlike Kirkland, it does have an alternative product for women. So which one is better? Aside from Rogaine containing more absorption-enhancing products, there are few differences. While Kirkland is cheaper, Rogaine has been on the market for longer and allow your follicle to enter the anagen phase quicker. In the medical world, the longer a product has existed without producing side effects, the safer it's assumed to be. This is why my recommendation would be to go with Rogaine. Are you interested in more details about the ingredients? Click the link in the description below and you will see all the studies that come along with this in our full blog post. You can also find the best places to buy Kirkland or Rogaine Minoxidil in the description.